Hi. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Dominique. How are you? I am
Oh,
so pleased that you're here joining us. You're a contributor to Light a Fire in Their Hearts. And before we dive in on the piece you wrote about respect, I just wanted to say a few words of gratitude. We met a long, long time ago. We were both very young, and and still are. And you were a mentor for me. It was when I started at Coopers and Lybrand, and now it's called PricewaterhouseCoopers. And you were a wonderful manager, role model for me. Then I was just right out of school. At the age of 22, and you taught me a lot. I learned a lot from you. You inspired me,
oh,
and and throughout our journeys, our paths have crossed a number of times, and it's always just lovely to
it's
reconnect
always
with you.
been fun.
It
I
is.
mean, what I love about you is your spirit. I know it's all over the reviews for your book. First of all, congratulations. I
Thank
mean,
you.
this is no small accomplishment. You're a mother, you've got your business, you're doing so many things, and at the same time, you've put this really important book out. And I mean it. I mean, it is an important book because
Oh,
I want to ensure that anybody who even considers going into leadership looks at your book, because I mentor a lot of young people, and as you say, it's leadership has this image that, oh, it's going to be just, fun and bossing people around, and we've got such outmoded models of leadership, and you really kind of go, no way, people. Listen up. this this is what it means, and you're not leading in the way Attila the Hun was or anybody else. You are moving forward with extremely educated people, folks who know, what it's like to be treated well or not, people who want meaningful work, and you have to show up. Like, it's not for the faint of heart. It's not for everyone either. You make that really clear in your book. Like, if you don't like people, don't get into leadership.
right.
and,
It doesn't get any simpler than that.
I know, and you use a lot of wonderful, simple, fun phrases to just kind of hammer it in, and explain all the different facets. And what I also love about your book is how it actually has a lot of references. So it's a guide, and you use that guide. And if you want to go deeper into diversity and inclusion and all the pieces around ensuring we have anti-racism in our workplaces, etc., there's references there. If you want to go deeper into feelings of being an imposter syndrome, or if you want to look at best practice in terms of management and leadership, mostly leadership, you've got it all there. So you've got the traditional pieces that we see in leadership training, but you got the practical. So you have really practical ways of doing things, steps, acronyms. Some of your acronyms are funny, and the stories, the giraffe, like, it stays with you, right? And then you go, right, right, right. So I find, if you're a new leader, but also if you've been in leadership a long time, and to a refresher like that, refreshing and refresher, and every time you've done something you're passionate about, it's always lit you up.
Thank
And
you.
this is kind of taking everything you've done that lights you up as an HR consultant, OD consultant, change management facilitator, coach, etc., and putting it in a book to help others light their hearts, and therefore light the hearts of their leader, of their followers as well. So it's really, it's like this quintessential Lisa.
Oh, thank you so
So
much,
you're
Dominique.
very welcome. I
And it
mean
means,
every word.
well, it means so much to me because, you are a great people leader. You have been, facilitating, advising, trusted advisor, facilitator, consultant to top leaders in all aspects of society, in government, in private sector. You're a certified management consultant. You're a certified coach times 10, I think, 10x certified
No,
coach,
for
4 times.
school.
Well, you may as well be with all the wonderful experience. And plus, on top of that, you're a wonderful sculptor and an artist who has made history by creating a monument that's now displayed. 2 monuments. Please tell us about the monuments. I'm
Yeah, so when you talk about leadership, sometimes it happens. You've always had it, like when you were talking about being the boss from the time you're a toddler.
me
and,
boss.
and for some of us, it's more about. It's not more about. I did boss my siblings around, but it's something that emerges. And all of a sudden, you're called, like Jean-François Pinsonneau talked about his mother, etc. You're called to take on a leadership role. So I was asked by my community whether I would sculpt a monument, one for Gatineau City Hall, and the other one for Montreal for the 375th anniversary of Montreal, and a gift from the Haitian community to those two cities. 3 years apart, so it wasn't at the same time, or 2 years apart, but I was scared. I thought, I've sculpted for my pleasure. I have some works in private collections, etc. I've done a couple of shows, more than a couple, a number of shows, etc. But a monument, like really something that's going to outlive me by a lot, it felt very daunting. And that imposter syndrome came up big time. Fortunately, I had a great mentor, a great leader I work with, who's my partner in crime in terms of sculpting, and who's done major works and said, you can do this, you can do this. And I did it. And what I noticed when I did these pieces was how the community responded. So sometimes you don't know you're taking a leadership role until other people follow your lead, so to speak.
Hmm.
It's not as if you go out there saying, I'm going to be a leader, unless it's an organizational, hierarchical kind of, you inherit a business, whatever it is, right? This is really, all of a sudden I saw people when the unveiling happened in Montreal. I worked on every millimeter of this sculpture, so I
It's
knew it by heart.
beautiful.
But
It's
when it's
beautiful.
unveiled, like your book today,
Yeah.
when it comes out, it's like, oh my God, I did this. And I started to cry. I hope you cried a lot. So I started
Yes.
to cry. And people said, well, don't you know this? This is yours, right? I said, yes, but it's to see the reactions. It's to see how people are inspired by something we do out of the love in our heart. And the fact that I was doing this, and not for the glory of it, I was doing it because I thought it's time. Haitians have been in Montreal for how long? And my parents since 1960. And it's time that we have a statue that looks like us, in bronze no less, on marble no less, in the middle of a park on Boulevard de Maisonneuve. So like, make it count, right? And then to see how people were moved, the throngs there, and there were the politicians and the mayor of the time and all of that. But it's the ordinary folks who came to take pictures with the statue that made me understand the symbolism of it. When a lot of Confederate statues are coming down, other people are protesting different statues to people who had certain types of values that are no longer the values we want for our society. And then you put something there that represents freedom, that represents fighting for human rights, and how it moves people. So I think leadership is very much also taking an opportunity that's given to you. Like, if it comes your way, it's the universe's way of saying you're ready. I didn't feel ready at all, but
Do we ever?
do we ever, right? But it's saying it's time. You won't have an idea for a book if you don't have the ability to write it. You
Mhm.
don't have someone just show up in your life and say, right now there's a possibility in an American city for a monument to a founder of that city who happened to be Haitian. So cool. In the late 1700s. And so it's like, listen to the call. And if it moves you, if it lights a fire in your heart, like, move towards that, right? And do it. Doesn't mean you have to say yes to everything. It's just that if there's a little spark, like, if it's like, oh my gosh, not this, but if there's a little spark there, and then you go, no, no, I can't, then it's probably because you have a chapter that deals with moving beyond your comfort zone.
Yep.
And maybe that's a moment of discomfort that will bring you growth as a person and as a leader. Yeah.
I love so much of what you said, Dominique, because, you know, you touched on so many points. Number one is, you know, those tears are, I call them tears of purpose,
Oh, nice.
right? When those tears over, it's like your heart gets so big it overflows, and you get these tears of purpose.
If you're in touch with your purpose, is that
Yeah,
really feel
you've
the
aligned, you're doing
yes,
something
okay.
that's aligned with your purpose, and it fills
Hmm.
your heart.
Yeah.
And then people respond to that. They feel it too,
They
right?
do.
And that's how we light a fire in their hearts. You know, we light it in our ours, and then we stand in our truth, and then others will seize that and feel it too, right? And that's how we're all connected. And you having this experience, and that monument is gorgeous. It's beautiful.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna go see it in person one day. It's
Yeah.
really a
You'll
work of
have to
art.
look up because he's on a pedestal.
I will, even though I'm 5'10", I'll still be able to look up.
Even at 5'10", you'll have to look up. You
So,
can't get quite close enough to the bus that's on.
oh, it's so gorgeous. I
To
mean, you even
take
put
a
blue
picture.
in the coat. I
Yeah, the
mean,
code. I go inspect it every year, and then I
oh
call
my
the city of Montreal
god,
engineering
and
part
that's
or
leadership,
whatever,
making
and
sure
say,
that.
I saw a spot of vert de gris. You need to put that wax. You put spray it with
Oh
wax. You
yeah,
put every couple
yeah,
of years because our climate is tough. But I
yeah.
think one element in what you said, Lisa, is not to be underestimated, and that is the pure heart. I'm not saying we're saints. No one is. It's
God, no.
far from it. It's more the purity of your intentions. So I think people feel when they're being manipulated. We're
Mhm.
very smart. We can smell the BS from far away. And when people are in an endeavor for their own self-aggrandization, folks feel it. So I'm there for the corner office. I'm there for
Right.
the pay. I'm there for the prestige when you talk about leadership, or I'm there for getting all the coverage, etc., so that I can pursue my own career. And it's not to say there's anything wrong with, our whatever minutes of fame that many of us experience once or twice in our lifetime, maybe. It's more the fact that if that's your only purpose, you're going to have a real low after that high. What is there to aspire to? But if that's part of your journey as a human being, and it's exploring one more talent you want to give to the world, one more opportunity to make a difference, then that's part of the journey. It's great. And then where's the next one and next one? Not in terms of bigger and bigger 20 feet monuments or whatever, or sessions of thousands of people or millions of dollars of books, although that would be kind of cool.
Could help.
Million copies of books. But it's more the fact that it's part of showing up as humans and leading the way, and that's the leadership angle. But the purity, maybe the word purity is a bit strong,
Well,
but there's
I think it's the purity of intention, right? Or the intent behind it. And you touched on this. It's like, okay, well, for what reasons are you doing this, right? Are you, and when you do it to be of service versus doing it to, for your own self advancement, there's a big difference,
oh yes,
and people notice,
yeah,
right? So, and that's when a lot of us struggle with imposter syndrome is having, and I've been there like probably every day at least for 5 years, but anyways, probably earlier than that. But it's almost accepting, putting ourselves out there as part of our calling to be able to get a message out.
that's right.
And in your sense, it's the message of, it's about time that the Haitian community is recognized, and that we have one of our heroes who delivered the country here, and in this beautiful monument that you created, you were in service of,
That's right.
of
Of
a
a bigger cause than
bigger cause
ourselves. And
of
mental health is very
right.
much about that as well.
Yeah.
And I've had some great conversations about burnout, mental health, and how to support people's mental health. That's what you do as a coach. That's what I do as well in my workshops and as a coach. And that is being able to tie your existence to something bigger than yourself. We've been told about individualism and
Mhm.
how important it is to be your best self and all that. Absolutely. The thing is, we've forgotten the collective good. And I think COVID has really brought home, the fact that, it doesn't matter what I do. If we don't do something collectively, we're going to all suffer. And that sense that we're maybe not alone in our little island, let's remove the United States for a minute from that from that
Yeah.
discussion. But the idea that we're a community and that we'll get better together and we'll flatten the curve together and we'll move forward together, I think has really created a sense of what's the purpose of my life? What's the meaning there? What do I want to do? How do I treat people around me? What about my family? I think there's an awakening. I'm hoping you called it
Yeah.
the age of passion, I think, but
Yeah.
there's an awakening to this bigger purpose and this reason why, your why, right? Why you do what you do. And I think that's what's going to lead us to better workplaces, better organizations, and better communities as well, instead of trying to build these little empires, which, were old ideas about what leadership means, old ideas about what power means. And we realize we're powerless against a virus. And,
Right.
the power is about working together. And the virus has exposed a lot of inequities too that were always there. And people now are much more aware of them.
Yeah.
And the idea is this is intolerable. We
Yeah.
cannot accept this, the way things are ordered now and structured now, the way we do leadership, the way we do everything now. And it's an opportunity to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad I'm alive now, although COVID was not part of my plans as a
No,
business
stay
person,
healthy. Stay healthy.
mother, as a
Yeah.
soon-to-be grandmother, as
Oh,
yeah,
that's
and
good news.
yeah, that's such
Awesome.
good news.
Oh, wow.
And so bringing a child, my son was joking and says maybe I should call her Corona. I said no. That bringing a child in at this time is, it's not an easy period of time to be
No.
living. And when the cracks appear in the cement, it's an opportunity to create something completely different. And the
Hmm.
child will be called Celeste. Not,
Oh, beautiful, Celeste.
isn't that gorgeous?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So that's the legacy too, is
Yes.
raising, making way for our children, your son,
Yeah.
my grandchild, and the generations to come, in the way we reimagine a leadership, and caring, compassionate, competent too.
Yes. Competence is important and courageous, right? To get
And
ourselves
courageous.
out of our comfort zone. Because that's one of the things, that I've found through our work, and I'm sure you've seen it too, is oftentimes that really uh, good-hearted person who might be a little bit more quiet, who could be a fantastic leader and motivating others, will opt out of playing games and will not self-promote and all these things because it goes against their integrity. So helping people with that type of leadership potential, who could be great people leaders and bring health and wellness and
Right.
purpose to organizations, is how we help them to build their courage and their confidence so that they can step up, but in a
Right.
way that's aligned with their integrity and their truth, and to
Yeah.
stay good people, and to just start creating and go as they go up the organization, to do it in such a way that the organization itself will be uplifted in the end
Right.
uh,
Right.
for future generations. That's my hope, and I
And the
believe
courage
in it.
is not about, I think it's facing your fear and doing it
Yeah,
anyway. I can't remember who said that,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I had made a note about your conversation, the courage, and the courage to say no,
yeah,
the courage to establish boundaries. I find many leaders who burn out, and also give too much work to their
yeah.
followers. They're not saying no. They're not putting some boundaries around what
Right,
is acceptable, what is normal,
right,
possible, reasonable, and just saying yes, and how high do I jump? And they're leading
right,
their whole organization
right.
down into a very desperate place. So it's courage in that way too. It's so there's the positive side of courage, but there's the yucky kind of hard
Yeah,
side of courage.
courage to have difficult conversations, like the stuff you
Difficult
teach all the time,
conversations.
right? Difficult conversations, or be able to stand up to senior management, like you just alluded to, right?
Or
When
even
they're,
to clients,
or
like
to
as a
clients.
consultant, I
Yeah,
had to do that. I came
right.
back from holidays and I had to speak to a really great client and say, no, I will not do this because I don't believe that's the way we should have these conversations with 1,000 people at a time. No,
Right.
let's keep this
Put the
to
brakes on that.
smaller groups,
Yeah,
care for people, respect
love it.
people, support people. And if you want me to be someone who just gives a TED talk, then I'm not it. I'm a facilitator, I'm a coach, I'm a supporter. I'm not saying I can't speak, but I'm there to enable others to get something out of it and move forward in their lives. And I don't believe in that format. So you'll have to find someone else to do that. And in COVID, it's hard to say no to work, but you've got to be, that's the
That's
part about
courage.
courage that says, you know what, will I be happy with myself if I do that? No. And I may do more harm than good. So you know what? No, we're not doing this. Not now. And find someone else, and I'll help you with other things. Happy to continue to work with you. And it feels good. And the more we do it, the more we know what we stand for, the more we support others and what they stand for, even if they say no when we think they should say yes. Then that's also part of leadership for sure.
Absolutely. And the courage to stand up for what's right. And
Yes.
you wrote a wonderful contribution on respect.
Yes.
RESPCT is the
Yes.
title of it,
Yes.
and civility in the workplace. So everyone who's watching, please pick up a book, read Dominique's
Yes.
section, is so
Pick up
important.
Lisa's book.
And so Dominique, how can people reach you if they need to reach you?
I think the best thing is to look me up on social media. So I have a LinkedIn profile, Dominique Dennery, Dennery. I have a Facebook page for my business as well, and a website. So if you see sculptures, then you go, it's still the same Dominique Dennery, except that's another part of my life. But a complimentary for sure.
Yes.
But the work itself as a coach, as a facilitator of tough conversation, doing more and more work around anti-racism right now,
Yes,
and
I've seen
and
some of your
supporting.
podcasts. Really
Yeah,
powerful, very
yeah,
important. Thank you for doing that and helping people understand better on how
yeah,
we could be
yeah,
respectful allies. So thank
yeah.
you for that.
The calling came, and I answered the calling, and we can have a conversation one of these days on
Yes,
many other topics. We never get tired of chatting away,
I know.
and
This could go on for 10 hours
this
and we'll,
could
we'll
go on
still
for
keep
a long
going.
time, and I'm sure some people might enjoy it. They might go to bed, wake up the next morning, it's still Dominique.
Still going.
So
Well,
thank you for your invitation
thank
to
you.
say something in your book, as well as say something today about your book. It's a must read.
Thank
Really,
you.
if you're whether you're new at this and you're an extremely good professional in your field, but you've never led a team or group, read it. If you've done this for a while and you're going, why isn't this working the way I'd like to, read it. If you if you don't do it as much and are just interested in supporting others in their leadership as a coach or a consultant, read it.
Thank you.
So get it translated, Bella. Get it
Yes,
translated
that
into French and Italian and
for sure.
Spanish and
That's hopefully going to happen. So what I need to do to get that done is work with the publisher to build a business case for why it's important in those markets. So anybody out there who has,
yeah.
a business case,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
from different languages, definitely. Because not only is it my book, it's the book of all the contributors and anyone who reads it. And reading is leading. So thank you for,
Okay.
thank you for, I didn't make it up, sorry, but I read that and it stuck with me, and it's so true, right? Learning from others, trying stuff out for ourselves. And just to close out, thank you again so much, Dominique, for being
You're very welcome.
just a wonderful human being, mentor to many people, and just an advocate for good and for inclusion, and then a beautiful artist. And so thank you again. Keep lighting those fires in hearts everywhere you go.
With pleasure. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank
Thank you so much. Okay.
you.